everybody. We are exhausted. NVIDIA is just crushing it out there. Just amazing stuff going on. We had an unbelievable day yesterday. Today we have a big day, and we have Tim Andrews from Manat. Hello, Tim. Guest trader, thank you. Luda Kopakina, Paul, and Ankash. All right. Ankash, start us off if you would.
Sure, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from the Ellen Institute, and it is titled DR Tulu, an open end-to-end training recipe for long-form deep research.
Yeah, I think the Allen Institute and this work may be the most important legacy that Mr. Allen has left us with his fortune from Microsoft. Let's see. I think we have Tim on this one, right? Tim.
Yeah, I think this is important. It is a research piece, so it's hard for me to go essential because it's kind of nerdy and a little bit down in the weeds, but there are a couple of things that are really important about this. First of all, this is a new architecture for doing long-form deep research in a more subjective, in more, I guess, qualified areas where there aren't obvious correct answers. So a lot of the verification that's been done so far has been like on math and coding, where you have a deterministic answer. You can just say, is the answer right or wrong? But in more complex queries, which most people do in business, the answers aren't so obvious, and it isn't obvious what is a good evaluation metric. So they've created the ability to dynamically tune the rubric of evaluation as you construct the answer, which is very interesting. And the other thing which I love about the Allen Institute is they're completely transparent. Everything is released, including the data sets that they use to train, all the code, everything. So this is a really interesting capability because, you know, we have all this talk about agents, but I'm a form follows function guy. I don't care what you call it. Agent is just the current label we put on things. What people want is outcomes. And this thing generates really more interesting outcomes. They use a very small model, 8 billion parameter Quen model, to get nearly SOTA state-of-the-art results comparable to OpenAI deep research and Claude deep research. So this is amazing to me, really quite amazing in terms of what it produces, but it's still a master craftsman tool. This is not going to be useful immediately in large corporate environments, except those that have highly skilled people who can take this stuff and put it together. But I think it's worth, if you have that, this is worth examining.
All right.
So I gave it an important to be aware that this is probably going to change things over the next few months, but it will take a while to seep into more accessible containers, if you will, that mere mortals can use.
All right. Getting important from Tim. What do you think here, Ankash?
I was also important on this one, John. I think we need to have these open source deep research tools. Some of the proprietary ones, they work very well. We saw launch of a deep research tool from Tongyi Research from China, I think last month. This is again a tool which anybody can use to build their product and is not reliant on any closed source model. So I think an interesting development, important development for the open source ecosystem.
All righty, Luda.
Yeah, I was actually on the board of between important and essential because, yeah, I agree with Tim that it is not, unfortunately, for everyone. It would require some putting it into the way to be usable by everybody. So, and that's why I ended up an important. But in terms of its capabilities, I thought that it's an essential development for the deep research market.
All right, but where are you on the board? EI?
I'm an important because this is not usability is limited.
All right, we're going for the I here. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I thought Tim's intro analysis was just fantastic. You know, I think I'm just so excited about this deep research because it's expanding well beyond some kind of librarian research, very tactical and public data, to much more sophisticated, nuanced tool. And I think as we think about where deep research is going in the future here, deep research on my own company data that Tim was referring is such a rich area of value, and we're just starting exploring. But this is too sophisticated. This is anyway, important because we can't implement it easily right now.
Yeah, I was important as well. It's really interesting. Many years ago, and Tim will remember this. Barbara Minsky came out with a book called The Society of Mind, which basically had a thought. It was a hypothesis that the architecture of the human mind and of cognition, human cognition, was a set of different kinds of processors that interacted in complex ways. And I think that's what we're seeing in terms of the evolution of these models. And I don't think it stops at the skin of a human. I think we're going to also, within a human, it's these roles, but then you have these same roles that become jobs and activities and things like that. So I think we're evolving the semantic architecture of individual and collective thinking. It's just going to be really interesting. Important it is. Okay, Akash, next.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from LangChain, and it's a case study about how ServiceNow uses Langsmith to get visibility.
Yeah, I think
get visibility. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, this one talks about how ServiceNow uses Langsmith to get visibility into its customer success agents.
All right, Luda, how's LangChain doing on their case studies here?
Not very well. So I rated this as optional. But it has some interesting takeaways and lessons of what you can do with LangChain or other vendors in evaluating workflows and putting together the metrics to evaluate them. So LangChain is particularly instrumental in this. So they helped ServiceNow to transition from ad hoc agents that they developed and put in operations across the company into a coherent orchestrated by LangChain. But unfortunately, they didn't really tell us how they did it other than visibility into workflows and some ways of creating specific prompts for evaluation of workflows. So it's not, and no business values or how it impact. So there's, it's very light on that. So as a result, optional, but a notable effort. LangChain is a powerful tool.
All right, we're optional here. What do you think, Tip?
Triple optional. These guys need to read the AWS case studies, or just, this is not even in production. It's just in test. There's no analysis of the business impact. It could be really interesting. And I agree, LangChain is a very good tool in general. They just have no idea how to articulate their value.
Yeah, you'd think they'd use a robot here to help, but Paul, okay.
Yeah, no, triple optional. This is a marketing person's MBO for Q4. Hey, we got a thing out. Get my bonus. Move on.
I hope they don't get their bonus. This is not very good. Okay.
Optional, John.
All righty. Next.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes from Google Research, and it is titled Generative UI, a rich, custom, visual, interactive user experience for any prompt.
Man, don't you just have this feeling that at Google, after OpenAI came out, they're like, that's our work. We're pissed. And they've just been munching on it for 3 years. What do you think, Akash?
So John, according to me, this is an essential read for anyone. So basically what Google is saying here is that the user interface is no longer something that is designed in advance. It's something that AI now builds on demand when the user needs it in the moment. So what Google is telling us is that they have these generative UIs in 2 places right now. It's present in the Gemini app with visual layouts and dynamic views. And then it's also available in AI mode in Google search. So basically, this is just amazing development from Google, where you pass a prompt, it sort of brings up a new user interface instead of just a chat interface to talk to you and to solve your problem. I think we will be seeing more and more of this going forward. It's sort of a new product layer, the generative UI layer that Google has created, and it's shipping inside its tools. So essential for that reason, John.
All right, we got an essential. What do you think, Tim?
I think I was really sort of between optional and important on this one. I guess I can be twisted into essential. I understand what's going on here. It's hard for me not to be a curmudgeon because I built this 40 years ago. Just, this is Bill Gates used to make Christmas videos every year that were hilarious. And he had one where people were sending email in the early 90s, and he said, "Look, I'm using a $12,000 computer instead of a 32-cent stamp." And this strikes me as somewhat similar. Yeah, okay, it can do it, but we did this 30 plus years ago. It's not that hard. It's just that people have ignored it. So, but on the other hand, nobody's doing it now, and this is going to be quite useful. So I can certainly see important on this. It is a product announcement, actually a research product announcement. So it's hard for me to get super excited about this as an essential thing.
Yeah, I hear you, Tim. I mean, you built parts of this, but you didn't have like the semantic model behind it and the interaction. I mean, you had the
True.
I mean, you had the storefront version of this thing. I mean, anyway, I mean, it's it's pretty deep what's going on here, I think. Would you agree?
From what I saw, no.
Okay.
We had a semantic object database that could automatically generate a UI for anything in the database. It was pretty good. It was at this level.
Gotcha.
But this is dynamic, Tim. This is dynamic. This is like real time adjustment.
Yeah, so was ours. You just looked it up, and it just automatically generated the UI. And that was on Sun Microsystems with a lot more complicated hardware and software. Anyway, I'm not trying to humble brag here. I'm just saying it's hard for me to get super excited about this because this is a known problem. It's not really that complicated. It's very useful. So I can see the utility of this. It's also not in production. It's just an experiment. It's an announcement.
It's in production.
In experimental production in certain limited areas.
Yeah.
Here's this is a thing I just generated this morning for my granddaughter to explain tides to her. So it's there. I mean, it's shipping.
But it is for,
I'm interested. Look, the utility of it, I'm not arguing with. In fact, I'm excited about this because I think you can do much more dynamic interfaces much easier, which is something we've lacked. So I think the utility of it is good. Mm-hmm.
All right, Paul, where are you?
Yeah, I'm still. I mean, they certainly talk about a research paper. John, you're saying this is in production. There's a note later on saying
Gemini Pro or Gemini, Enterprise, so you get it.
But not generically available. It's Pro and Enterprise, so it's a advanced.
You have to have a paid subscription, but it's shipped.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, so we probably should move. I think it's important. I mean, I think this whole notion that we're moving to a on-demand personalized experience that's emotionally personalized, it's audio personalized, it's visually personalized is where we're going. And this is showing that this thing is real, this whole trend. And John, that's why I think it's going to move to, today's internet looks like, the 3 TV stations we had in 1970 in the US versus an explosion of, personalized interactions.
Absolutely. Ankash, where are you?
Essential, John.
Yeah. Luda, I think you and I are in the same place.
Yeah, I think it is essential. Yeah. This will get people into really using Google more. Yeah. And as a result, so this is their strategic card and they're playing it very well. So I feel that this is a development that will change the dynamics of the internet browsing and shopping. So essential.
Yeah, I mean, totally essential. I mean, the other thing is, and I hear you, Tim, about having done it before, but this is going from interpreting reality, coming up with synthetic insights, and then being updated. This to me is a living system. I mean, and this is going to have input and output. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's got to be driving. I mean, why did Jan LeCun get fired so summarily? It's like, Mark Zuckerberg's going, we need, like, Google's kicking our butt in terms of the ability, and we're going to do another thing, in terms of being able to ingest and generate multimodality, and to do it personalized in real time, decent latency, although they note the latency, what they're going after. I'm sure they're giving this to their engineers and saying, look, you got to get the latency way down, right? And so that this is fluid. And I don't know. I think this is, this is super essential. So thank God I'm in charge today. I can get past the sludgy thinking of the mob. We're going essential. All right. Next.
The show would be so much easier if you didn't have all these plebeians to have to work with every day.
But John, we had 3-2, 3 essentials, 2 important. So I think it's a democratic type of an answer here.
Fair enough. I just want to say that even if they didn't have the votes.
Right. I also fear, I guess, but I will say I have my biases between my curmudgeon stuff, and I also fear what this is going to be used for is to trap people more into social media.
Oh yeah, no question.
That is true.
No question. All right.
So that's a bias I have. It's inappropriate because it can be used for good as well as bad. The bad is generally more profitable right now.
That's for sure, and unregulated. All right, next, Akash.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from A16Z, and they are talking about bitter economics.
Yeah, what did you think of this, Luda? I thought the person might have had a stroke or something because they seemed to stop before the end of the argument, but go for it.
So this is an interesting. So this is a newsletter that A16Z is now putting out, letting writers of notoriety to actually speak their mind on different topics related to startups and AI investment, right? So this article is talking about or building on the bitter lesson by Richard Sutton, talks about that it's not the algorithmic necessarily innovation, but throwing a lot of compute and resources on an innovation. And that's what makes it happen. So the article gives a couple of tidbits of data. Maybe Ankash, if you can scroll to like a place where they talk about that the compute is actually increased 4.4x per year that we know. It also talks about that AI investments per employee is skyrocketing, on average 340 per employee in 2025. That's unheard of. And also provide data of AI companies having higher burn across the various investment rounds, A, B, C. It only equalizes a D pretty much. So, but the takeaway of this article is really kind of what we know, assess the value that this innovation can create, and see whether it can outstrip or the investment that you've made. A regular investment person would do that in their sleep, right? So that's why I think it's an optional article. Some interesting bits, but I wouldn't recommend anybody reading it.
All right, we're going optional here. What do you think, Akash?
John, I'm with Luda here. Optional article. We already know about all of this, so nothing new for an AI leader.
Tim?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been, the only interesting thing to me is we've been saying this for a long time. I had a friend from MIT. We worked together like 30 years ago, and that was his favorite joke was, if brute force isn't working, you're not using enough brute force. Now, I can take the other side of that and say Xerox PARC created most of the modern infrastructure without brute force, and it wouldn't work if they used brute force. So there are problems with this approach as well, and Newton wouldn't have gotten where he got with brute force, but that's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Tim. There's another argument that they completely didn't pull into the article.
Yeah, I think discovery is an oscillation between thinking and brute force. But anyway, Paul.
This is triple optional. I mean, he ends by saying at the end of the day, compute. Let's also understand the game that's going on, the market is. Andreessen invests early in companies, and then they get follow-on investors that put more capital at much higher rates. So
Right.
this argues that to put a lot more capital in all their portfolio companies and much higher valuations, which is exactly what they should argue. But at the end of the game, that's how I interpret this article. But it's meaningless.
Same argument P.T. Barnum made, right?
Yeah, although I think Anderson probably makes a little more dough than PT did. Right, optional is next.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one that we have for today comes from AWS, and it is a case study how they build a biomedical research agent with Biomni tools and Amazon Bedrock agent code gateway.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, so this is another one where if you're in life sciences research or really almost any scientific research endeavor, I would rate this essential. It's a well-articulated case study. I had read about the Stanford project a couple of weeks back already, and I think this is phenomenal. And this is what research should do. They're producing a very powerful scientific research assistant, if you will, that is modular, it's well structured, and out there for the taking and use. So any kind of scientific research, this is great. I would rate it important in general because this is talking about how to do an agent versus just saying, agent, 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 aren't we great? So that's nice. I don't see anything here specifically agentic, to tell you the truth. It's just put together a good software system, but they put together a good software system and it's quite powerful. And, it's a little bit of an ad for AWS, but that's what they're good at. So I think this is great. I think it's important for the general audience and essential for anybody in scientific research.
All righty. Important. What do you think, Luda?
I agree with Tim. Important and essential for biosciences or sciences.
All right, Paul.
Important, and we live in an amazing age, so important.
Okay. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Important, John.
All right, important it is. I agree. It's fantastic. Beautifully done study as usual. Okay. Next and last, please.
Okay, the last one that we have for today comes from Meta, and they have introduced Meta Segment Anything model, the third version of it, and it's Segment Anything Playground.
Yeah, I just have these images of Mark Zuckerberg running around screaming at people. I don't know if that's accurate, but what do you think, Akash?
I think this is an essential read, John. So basically, the segment anything model, this is a third version of that model. What it does is it can find, segment, and track object and images and video. The previous set of models, you had to mention the exact word to segment any object in image or video. This takes this forward. You can describe a concept to it, and it will do the segmentation basis that concept. Earlier, there was no segment anything playground, so you had to use it through coding and stuff. But now you can use the playground to track someone, find a segment, and then do editing on top of that. So it shows the entire workflow from segmentation to changing a thing in either image or video. I think it will have wide use cases in anything from corporate videos to movies as well. So essential for that reason.
All right, we got a case for essential here. What do you think, Tim?
That's fine with me. I'm not an expert in this area, so I don't know how groundbreaking this is, but it's certainly, in your category of everyday miracle. I think it's really gone under the radar how good object recognition and detection has gotten. And that's very powerful across just about every industry. So it's certainly important to be aware of this stuff. And obviously, if you're in image recognition and detection of any type, then this becomes essential. I don't know how, I can't opine on how much better or worse this is than what's already out there from other companies, but it's super impressive.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, I was important. I mean, I wrote a blog post yesterday about that article we covered about Amazon, one of which was Amazon Lens, which we take a picture of and say, give me other like products like this dress or sofa that's really been transformative on the e-commerce shopping front. So I agree with Tim. It's underappreciated, and the robots are just ones and zeros. So important.
All right, Luda.
Yeah, I was important, not essential necessarily, because I think, Paul, what you're talking about is much more fundamentally disruptive, right? This is less so, but it is a critical innovation for robotics, for image recognition and following the images in the environments. So it's certainly important.
All right. Yeah, I was important as well. I was close to essential in this one, but the ability, I agree with Coach, the ability to really get at activity within any kind of video is a really important capability, right? Both for advertising, for lookup, for editing, like the whole routine, right? It is those objects and their ability in context are really the primitives of storytelling. So. And advertising. So I don't know. Let's go important on this one. It's developing. It'll head out there. Maybe we'll see some applications and make them essential. Okay, if you could do the top board, Paul, announcements.
Yeah, a couple announcements for people who don't know. We also have recordings of this on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if that's your preferred listening method, please check that out. Today at noon Eastern, we have our weekly free ChatGPT user class. So I encourage you to do that. This Monday's Learning Lab is a fantastic lab by an entrepreneur who's built a whole software development product with 12 agents. And he's got an agent for architect, an agent for QA, agent for doc, agent for a PM. And he's going to walk us through exactly how he did it and what worked and the lessons he took from that. And then lastly, we continue to do a lot of research and have a lot of interactions with companies on answer engine optimization, a really important topic for companies to get their brand and products and company image out in these new answer engines.
And Paul, when you say this Monday, you mean the 24th of November, right?
I meant, yeah, this coming Monday, 24th of November, correct.
Alrighty. Yeah, and also for folks, I just published an article on sovereign AI 2 days ago in Forbes. Those of you interested in that topic, we laid out a model there about how to think about it, how both countries and companies can think about their control of their AI stack. All right. Tim, anything from Annette?
No, I mean, I could go on forever. Just please check our website. We have some interesting AI webinars coming up on healthcare and legal and regulatory issues in the AI area.
All righty.
Nat.com.
All right. One essential. We have 3 importance, 2 optionals. Have a great AI day, everybody. See you all tomorrow morning. Thanks. Tim, Luda, Ankaj, Paul. Bye-bye now.